at Coach Geno Auriemma of the UConn Lady Huskies and some comments he made just a few months ago about Caitlin Clark. And you've heard it said before, so I'm going to say it again. Those comments did not aid.
Ladies and gentlemen, it almost feels like fate is playing a cruel joke on Geno Auriemma. The man once viewed as a legendary UConn coach now finds himself staring at a what-if that won't go away. Because Caitlin Clark keeps redefining what a basketball superstar looks like. And here's the part that stings. Geno had a chance to embrace her path and didn't. In hindsight, it's the kind of decision that can follow a coach for years, especially when the player you passed on becomes the face of the sport.
No one like Caitlin Clark. In the history.
Let's rewind to the moment that could end up haunting Geno for the rest of his career. Back then, Caitlin Clark wasn't just having good games. She was destroying defenses and putting up numbers that felt unreal. Points, assists, deep range, leadership, court vision. She didn't just check every box, she made new ones. Anyone watching closely could tell she wasn't simply a great prospect. She was a once-in-a-generation talent, with the kind of confidence that changes the energy of an entire program.
Original fan base that follows her disrespected the WNBA players by saying she's going to go in that league and tear it apart. There were actually odds on she's third or fourth in betting odds on being MVP of the WNBA. These people are so disrespectful and so unknowledgeable and so stupid that it gives women's basketball a bad name. Okay, so the kid was set up for failure.
But Geno went all in on Paige Bueckers instead, the Golden Girl, the next campus sensation, the player many believed would carry women's basketball into a new era. At the time, you could understand why people defended that choice. Paige was a star too, and UConn was already a powerhouse that knew how to win. But the story gets messy when it isn't just, he chose Paige. The real controversy is that Geno didn't simply pass on Caitlin. He appeared to dismiss her publicly in a way that made the situation feel personal, not professional.
To talk about her leading Iowa to the national championship game, and then she became the #1 pick in the WNBA draft and then went on to win Rookie of the Year. From there, you guys, she has won so many awards and broken so many records. It's actually become a meme at this point because it's just crazy. People are putting.
So the question becomes, who looks delusional now? Geno bet big on Paige Bueckers, but Paige, through no fault of her character, has not been able to match the unstoppable momentum Caitlin Clark has built. Caitlin didn't just grab headlines. She became the headline. Awards, attention, influence, record-breaking moments, and cultural impact followed her everywhere. She didn't simply elevate her own career. She elevated the entire conversation around women's basketball, forcing the sports world to pay attention in a way it hadn't before.
He says that those of us who believe that Caitlin Clark would excel in the WNBA from the start even were delusional and stupid. And as time has gone on, well, I'm gonna have to say, they still not as good as they.
Let's be honest. Underestimating Caitlin Clark may go down as one of the biggest misreads of Geno Auriemma's career. And now he's left carrying the metaphorical bag, filled with questions, doubts, and a reputation hit that's hard to shake. Caitlin's rise isn't just a feel-good story. It's a loud reminder that even the greatest coaches can miss on talent when ego, bias, or comfort with the familiar takes over. The more she shines, the more people revisit that old decision and ask, how did you not see this coming?
Skepticism of Paige Bueckers that she's not going to be
Caitlin Clark's success has essentially forced Geno to eat his own words. Whether he admits it or not, he seemed to be banking on a Paige Bueckers era, quietly hoping Caitlin would cool off, struggle at the next level, or fade into the background. But that gamble didn't work. Instead, Caitlin kept leveling up, and the comparison became unavoidable. And now that spotlight doesn't just illuminate Caitlin, it also puts pressure on Paige, the player Geno placed at the center of his vision for the program and, in many ways, his legacy.
So her shooting's gotten worse, and overall, if you just watch her play, she's being less aggressive. She's shooting less shots than she did as a freshman. She's shooting less shots than she did last year. She doesn't play as a true point guard. And for me, anyway, I think that's the fault of Geno Auriemma.
Paige Bueckers' journey has been repeatedly interrupted by injuries and untimely setbacks. Long stretches on the sideline can derail rhythm, confidence, and development. especially for a player expected to be the face of a dynasty. Yes, she has shown flashes of brilliance, and she's still undeniably talented. But those flashes have been too inconsistent and too rare to sustain the dominant, unstoppable trajectory people once predicted. When time passes and the hype doesn't fully convert into uninterrupted dominance, critics get louder, and comparisons get harsher.
Bueckers and the UConn Huskies front and center this season in women's basketball. Some fans are starting to question Geno Auriemma's coaching style and wondering if it's truly.
Now with the 2025 WNBA draft approaching, there's growing talk that Paige Bueckers may not even be the guaranteed #1 overall pick. Think about how wild that sounds when you remember how the story started. Geno tied a major part of the narrative to Paige being the one, but reality has been complicated. And here's what makes the situation even more explosive. Some fans argue Geno didn't just misjudge Caitlin Clark. He may have contributed to the pressure and environment that slowed Paige's rise, too.
Or not, Geno Auriemma destroyed Paige Bueckers as a...
Beyond the obvious mistake of passing on Caitlin Clark, people are now questioning whether Geno's coaching style could be limiting Paige Bueckers' growth. Is it possible the system, the expectations, and the public commentary are creating hesitation instead of confidence? Because elite talent needs more than strategy. It needs belief, freedom, and a coach who protects the player's mindset. If the environment feels like a constant test instead of a supportive platform, even the best players can tighten up when it matters most.
Basically said, well, Paige just likes to stand around. She's not really aggressive and she's not going to go after the ball. So that's just what Paige likes to do. He kind of threw her under the bus. And a lot of fans are starting to notice that Geno says a lot of things to the media about his team, about his players that are starting to rub certain people.
And no, this isn't just random speculation anymore. Many observers believe Geno's public remarks and overall philosophy can come across as more critical than constructive, especially in front of the media. When a coach repeatedly frames a player's game through what they aren't doing, rather than what they can become, it can shape how fans talk, how analysts judge, and how the player feels stepping onto the floor. At the top level, confidence is oxygen. If it's slowly drained, performance often follows.
UConn ruined Paige Bueckers. But I'm sorry, since Brianna Stewart, UConn have not produced a good WNBA player.
Take Paige Bueckers as the clearest example. She has the skill set to dominate games, elite footwork, scoring ability, playmaking, and composure. She's absolutely capable of being a true UConn legend. Yet year after year, one critique keeps returning. She isn't aggressive enough offensively, especially in big moments. And that criticism becomes even louder when she's measured against Caitlin Clark, who plays with relentless pressure and an attacking mindset that never looks unsure. When fans see one star taking risks and another looking cautious, they naturally ask, what's causing that difference?
Wrong? That's my #1 thought is that Geno was way off and was...
So here's the question that matters. Is Geno's coaching style keeping Paige from becoming the fearless, take-charge player she's meant to be? If a player is constantly worried about mistakes or about being publicly called out, it makes sense that they hesitate, because the mental cost of failure starts to feel bigger than the reward of aggression. And that brings us back to Geno. He misjudged Caitlin Clark, and now he may be dealing with another problem, the possibility that Paige's development has been affected too. You have to wonder, does he sleep peacefully, or does that what-if replay in his head? Because as Caitlin keeps dominating and Paige fights to stay healthy and consistent, one thing is clear. The basketball world won't forget the day Geno Auriemma passed on Caitlin Clark, and neither will he. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more basketball updates. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.